Once upon a time, in a quirky little town by the sea, lived three best friends who were about as different from each other as a banana, a pineapple, and a grapefruit. Yet somehow they made the perfect trio. There was Ivy, the wild, spontaneous girl who could never sit still for more than 5 minutes. Ruby, the sarcastic bookworm who could make you laugh even when you were feeling down, and Max, the sweet but hopelessly clumsy boy who had a heart of gold and the tendency to trip over his own shoes. They had grown up together in the tiny seaside town of Sunflower Bay, a place where gossip spread faster than a cat chasing a mouse. And everyone knew everyone else's business, whether they liked it or not. The three friends had their fair share of adventures, but none had quite prepared them for the twist that life would throw their way one fateful summer. It all began on an ordinary Tuesday, which, as they quickly discovered, would never be ordinary again. Ivy, always the instigator, suggested they go on a spontaneous adventure. Let's go to the Forbidden Forest, Ivy declared dramatically, eyes wide with excitement. I've heard the treasure of the golden pudding is hidden there. Ruby raised an eyebrow. The golden pudding? That sounds suspiciously delicious, but also slightly fake. It's real, Ivy said, dramatically shushing Ruby. I'm sure of it. And you know what that means? We'll become legends. Famous adventurers. Max, who had recently injured himself trying to make pancakes, don't ask how, because even he wasn't entirely sure, immediately got excited. Treasure. I love treasure. He jumped up, knocking over a chair in the process. I'm in. I'll just grab my bag of first aid supplies. Ivy gave him a thumbs up. We'll need those, but don't bring any actual first aid kits because we might not need them. I'm practically an expert adventurer. Ruby shot her a skeptical look. I'll believe it when I see it. With that, they packed their bags, which consisted of Ruby's 57 books, because you never know when you'll need to read about ancient civilizations or possibly just need a nap. Ivy's oversized map, which had no actual labels, and Max, just in case, survival kit, which included a rubber chicken, 10 different kind of band-aids, and a kazoo. The Forbidden Forest wasn't actually forbidden by any official authority. It was simply called that because the last person who went in had come back covered in mud. smelling like wild onions and swearing they saw a giant squirrel in a top hat. But that didn't deter Ivy, Ruby, and Max. As they ventured deeper into the forest, things took a turn for the ridiculous. They got lost about 5 minutes in. This map is upside down, Ivy said, holding it up with a proud grin. Ruby sighed, squinting at the trees. Ivy, you have been holding it upside down the entire time. Max scratched his head, looking around. Okay, so should we turn left or right? Left, Ivy shouted, pointing dramatically to a random direction. Right, Ruby said, much more calmly. I'm pretty sure we just passed that tree twice. I think the tree is following us. Max muttered under his breath and then tripped over a vine. He landed face first into the soft earth, his survival kit spilling out around him. I'm fine, Max said, brushing off his pants as if he hadn't just experienced the kind of fall that usually requires an ambulance. Oh, sure, Max, you're fine, Ruby said sarcastically, holding back a chuckle. It's just your pride that's bruised. By now, they had wandered so far, of course, that they were deep in what could only be described as the weird part of the forest. Strange noises echoed from all directions, rustling leaves, creaking branches, and was that a kazoo? Was that a kazoo? They rounded a corner and found a clearing, and there, in the middle of the grass, was something truly bizarre, a giant wooden spoon. What is this? Ruby asked, her brow furrowing. Ah, the golden pudding, Ivy said, beaming as if she'd just discovered the Holy Grail. She pointed to the spoon like it was the most significant thing in the world. This is what I mean. Max picked up the spoon, examining it closely. It's just a spoon, but it's huge. Is there a bowl somewhere? Because I'm really starting to get hungry. Suddenly, a voice came from the trees. You have found it, haven't you? The trio froze. Out of the shadows stepped a figure, a woman wearing an extravagant cloak made entirely of spaghetti. Ruby blinked. Is that is that spaghetti? The woman smiled mysteriously. You have entered the realm of eternal snack, where all your food related dreams come true. She raised her hands. I'm the keeper of the golden pudding, and you must answer a riddle to prove you're worthy of the treasure. Max raised his hand. Wait, a riddle? Are we allowed to use our phones for this? Ruby slapped her forehead. Max, put your phone down. I'm ready for this, Ivy said, her eyes gleaming. I've always been great at riddles. I can solve them in my sleep. The keeper of the golden pudding narrowed her eyes and spoke. I have keys but open no locks. I have space but no room. You can enter but not go outside. What am I? Ruby thought for a moment, tapping her chin. A computer. The keeper of the golden pudding gasped. Correct. Well done. You have proven yourselves worthy. She waved her hand, and the spoon glowed a bright, golden light as if it were a magical relic. Wait, so is there pudding in it? Max asked hopefully. The keeper laughed. No, the golden pudding was never real. It was a metaphor for the journey you have taken. She gave them a knowing smile. Though, you can have this. She handed them a small container of actual pudding. Ivy stared at the pudding and then shrugged. I guess it's the best we're getting, huh? Ruby chuckled. That was the weirdest adventure we have had yet. Max dug in with a spoon, not missing a beat. Honestly, I think this was the best pudding I've ever had in my life. And so, Ivy, Ruby, and Max left the forbidden forest, their heads full of laughter, their hearts full of friendship, and their stomachs full of pudding. They had learned that not all treasure hunts ended with gold or fame, but with memories, laughter, and a newfound appreciation for the unexpected. As they walked back to Sunflower Bay, Ivy nudged Max with a grin. Next time, I'm going to make sure the map is right side up. Max smirked. And I'll make sure I don't trip over any more vines, baby. Ruby rolled her eyes. I'm never doing this again. But, okay, I guess it wasn't terrible. And so, their friendship grew stronger, and their adventures, well, they only got weirder from there. But in the end, they learned one thing. Life's greatest treasures weren't always the ones they expected to find, but the ones they found together.